What's up, guys? Welcome back to San Diego. And as we get into Season 4, we have a lot of really great things on the horizon because we signed a couple really great classes the last couple years. A lot of them have been developing really quickly, especially on the defense. And our recruiting seems to get better and better each season, so let's hope that that trend continues, and let's hope that we can take this 9-4 record from last season, turn into double-digit wins, and hopefully a conference championship. But before we start to look at the recruits from California and who we're going to put on our board, there is one change that I really want to make before we get into the season. And that's my decision in the last episode to put Rambo up at number 1 quarterback. Now, I was looking at the skill caps for these guys, and Rambo is actually kind of close to the top of his, but O'Neal, despite the fact that he is a senior, actually has a lot of room to grow, surprisingly enough. And I think he is going to be a good quarterback, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he is the quarterback of the Aztecs right now in real life. So let's give him a shot. Besides, I looked at all the other quarterbacks that we have, and a lot of them have some pretty low skill caps. So that's not great for us. So that might mean that we have to look for one really elite quarterback in this class, but for now, we're going to stick with O'Neal, and let's hope that that's going to be the key to success in this season. But as we look at this prospect list, I don't know if we're really going to have an elite option here. I mean, the only 2 players that are 5 stars have us locked out, including a quarterback, and there aren't many other ones on the list except for these 2 down here, so we're really going to have to struggle to find some. Thankfully, though, there are a couple guys here that do want to be at our school that we have needs for, so let's make sure that we put all of them on our list as much as we can and be able to try to get some of them over here as soon as possible. But I also do need to remember that we only have 575 hours this season, especially in this preseason, to be able to scout these guys and offer them scholarships. So I think that's going to take a little while, but that means that we really have to prioritize who we want. And the crazy thing is, after 12 guys scouted, we finally found our first gem in Tevin Stockton. Might be a really good halfback for us. And shortly after, found Benjamin Hearns. I think those 2 guys are going to be the ones we're really going to prioritize. But unfortunately, that allowed it so that we couldn't scout everyone. So unfortunately, we have a lot of these guys down here that are not scouted, nor do they have scholarships, so we're going to have to really take care of that in week 0. And unfortunately, we're already getting locked out of players as Matthew Stroud ends up getting to his top 8 with us nowhere in sight. And honestly, I'm going to do something a little stupid here. I'm going to offer everyone a scholarship that we have on the board. Main reason for that being that, aside from these guys, everyone else on that list in California is a 3-star below, and if we can land some of these guys and hopefully have some good dev traits, even if they are busts, if they're at least impact, that's a little bit better than normal. Plus, we need to put some of these hours on actually scouting these guys, because without doing that, I don't think we're going to climb up anywhere on some of these boards, so we're going to have to sell the house, especially on the guys that we really want to focus on too. However, that 450 hour cap is really going to be a big issue for us because we're only able to put hours on 9 guys. But thankfully, as we advance the week, we're going to be able to get some of those back, and hopefully we can actually narrow down who we're going to be able to have a shot at too. But unfortunately, that does mean that we're going to get locked out of a couple of other guys too. The good thing though is we do jump up some boards here, especially the guys that we put a lot of hours on, so hopefully we'll be able to get some really good guys out of this. But until we start signing guys or we start losing them, we're not going to get any more hours, so we're just going to have to roll with those guys, and let's hope that we can take this first game against Eastern Michigan on the road. If so, maybe we can actually get some guys early. Thankfully, we do start off with a win, but not by much, as we won 28-24. Now, it looks like O'Neal actually had 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception, 275 in the air. Napier with 3 touchdowns? Maybe he could actually be in the Heisman race. Yes, I am aware that that really is just wishful thinking on my part, but that's okay. Because now that we have some of these guys up in their top 5, we can actually go for the hard sell and even potentially bring some in on visits. Though I don't think that we're actually going to bring anyone in on his visit yet. I mean, we got plenty of weeks until our first actual potential visit week, so we'll schedule those over the next coming weeks. But for now, we get to sit through another game, and it's our first home game of the season against Missouri. Let's hope this goes better than the Eastern Michigan one. And surprisingly enough, it does. We won 28-14. It's nice that the defense actually showed up this time. O'Neal, 352 and 2 touchdowns. Not bad. Kid finally got it done on the ground, 37 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. And then Hennessy had 2 touchdowns. And even though with hard sells, we do end up getting 40 hours to be able to bring someone in on a visit, I think we're going to go hold off because I really don't want to drop the ball with some of these other guys. So we're going to put some hours on them just to kind of keep them interested just before we can put some more hours on them. We'll make sure that we end up getting those guys in on a visit next time. Because again, we do have a couple weeks. But for now, we have to look forward to this away matchup against Oklahoma, who's 1-1 but 9th in the country. Don't know if this is going to fare too well, but hey, at least we're 2-0 right now. We can hang our head on that. And don't look now, but the Aztecs pulling the upset. 22-21. Really incredible, and we scored 9 in the 4th quarter too. O'Neal had 2 interceptions, which is rough, but still a touchdown, 300 yards. Nothing on the ground, unfortunately, and no one broke 100 yards, but at least we got the win. And while there was one guy that ended up locking us out, that actually moved us up the board to some of these guys too. But now is when we're going to start scheduling a couple guys, so I definitely want to schedule one as soon as possible, especially for Hearns here. I think he's going to be really great for us, and even though I wish we could wait till week 10, let's bring him in week 5 against Ball State. And while that means we will only have one person visiting next week, I still think it's going to be worth it. Plus, we'll free up those 40 hours for this next week as well. So let's get through this bye week. Let's look forward to this game against Ball State, and let's see if we can get a couple guys soon. Well, in addition to those 40 hours, we got an additional 40 because Hicks decided to go to Oregon, so we can take him off our list and free up those extra hours too. And while that isn't going to allow us to bring anyone in this week, that means that we can bring the strong safety and the free safety next week against Utah State. I think that that's going to be a great complimentary visit right there, and hopefully if we do well in that game, that'll be more than enough to be able to get both of them to commit. So that will allow us to jump into the first game that we're going to hop into. That's going to be at home against Ball State. Now, we do have that 6 overall advantage over them, which is great, but as we've learned in the past, really doesn't mean shit. We've struggled with teams like this. Let's make sure that we go out there and we put this one away, especially since we're number 25 in the nation right now. Let's make sure we stay atop that list. And I'm sorry, I don't mean atop that list. I mean on that list. Pardon me. Either way, though, we got 1st and 10 down here in the red zone. Let's see if we can actually potentially get the first score of the game. We don't, but we get the first down to the 1. And that will allow us to just pound this in right up the middle right now as Valdez gets in for the touchdown. But even though the offense got in pretty easily, question is, can the defense get their offense off the field pretty easily as well? This does not look like it as they end up going out for the scramble. I can't even talk, and he slides for the 4th and 7. Now, will set us up to be able to potentially get one score before the end of the half. It'd be nice to be able to be up by 2. Question is, can we do it? As he is wide open across the middle, Hennessy, and ends up getting down to the 11-yard line. But now at this point, it's not like we're really in a hurry to be able to get into the end zone. We don't want them to get the ball back before half. But at the same time, I still want to make sure that we get these points here. No. But when we make bad reads like that, that's what ends up happening. That's okay, though. Oh, there we go. They're blitzing. Hennessy catches it again down to the 1-yard line, 3rd and inches. So even though he hasn't been incredible, I'm going to trust Kidd to run it right up the middle and be able to get into the end zone, and we do get that 2-possession lead before half. But unfortunately, we have not seen the end zone since. But Ball State definitely has, and they have a chance to do it again right here as they end up going for the play action. Someone tackle him. Thank you. Keep him out of the end zone. 2nd and goal. There's just 3 yards. We can keep him out, man. We're a much better team than them, except for right there. But that will set us up for the chance to be able to get some points and come out with a victory, even if it is by a very, very slight margin. But we need to be smart with the football here. Thank you very much for not catching that again. I mean, I know I saw him a little bit late, but I thought maybe he would still catch it, but apparently not. There we go. Wide open. Way to go, Canty. Wish you wouldn't have fallen, but at least you caught it. So at this point, it's about getting closer to field goal range and just preserving the ball. Be smart with it. That's going to be the main thing as we're going to scramble out. And oh my gosh, O'Neal's got some legs. Oh my goodness. And he slides for the first down. My bad. I'm just so used to running with Duffy that, that little extra burst of speed makes a big difference. So let's just keep the ball on the ground here, run up the middle. Kidd, with the little juke, gets down to the 10-yard line. And realistically, I don't know if I even want to get into the end zone here. I want them to waste their final timeout, and I just want to keep it within field goal range. So, oh no, that was not what I wanted to do. But at least we, I guess, didn't score there. But damn it, that was stupid. And of course, he ran out of bounds too, so they still got that one timeout left. Now let's just go down. And yes, I know we could have had 2 scores there. I get that. But we're basically going to run the clock down to pretty much 0. And we're going to kick the field goal. That's pretty much all we have to do. Now, don't get me wrong. Would more points on the board look nicer? Absolutely. But why do that when we can just guarantee a win right here? Thank God that's how this one's going to end. 17-14. Not a beautiful win, but one that should actually keep us in the top 25 and undefeated for the season. As Gerald Kidd actually gets his best game of the season, maybe not eye-popping, but at least a touchdown and 71 rushing yards. Now I am going to skip looking at the stats of that one because I know that one wasn't that pretty, but again, at least our defense ended up holding out, and at least we picked up the win. And thankfully that is good enough to be able to get our first commit, Benjamin Hearns, the 4-star wide receiver from California. And we got the strong safety before he even visited? Man, that's pretty nice. Now, unfortunately, we did lose our top quarterback to Oregon. And that kind of sucks, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, that is going to free up some hours to be able to look for some other ones. So that is going to be able to free up some hours to be able to bring someone else in on the visit for Utah State. And why not have it be Keegan Montgomery? We need another corner. And besides, it's a +2 for the complimentary visits, and we know he wants proximity to home. So with those visits scheduled for the next week, that means that we're really going to have to push hard for the final couple weeks of visits, and especially since they're going to have to be coming up pretty soon. But let's simulate through this game against Colorado State on the road. What is this, our first conference matchup? Let's hope we win. And look at that. Telvin Stockton ended up committing. That's great. That's one of the halfbacks we really wanted. See, we lose a couple of guys too, though. And thankfully, we do pick up the win against Colorado State, 27-14. That's pretty nice. Especially since O'Neal was pretty much flawless there. 199, 2 touchdowns. Got it done on the ground. Averaged 6.7. Plus, Hennessy had a touchdown along with Napier as well. So, pretty good game all around. But thankfully, with the new hours, we're really going to be able to go hard again on some of these visits because we need to be able to lock some of these guys down. And even though this guy doesn't have great grades for what he's looking for, we're going to go with that championship contender and just really hope that we stay atop that. So that does mean that we're going to have a really big week 10 because we do have these 3 guys coming, plus we may schedule another 1 or 2. But also, we need to look forward to this week here because week 7, we got a free safety and a cornerback visiting, and we really need to make sure that we land these guys because, again, as good as our defense is right now, still needs a little bit of improvement as we've seen throughout this season because even though we are 5-0 right now, there have been some pretty close calls, and hopefully this is not going to be one of them against Utah State, 80 overall. Let's hope that our defense can take care of their 79 overall offense and we can stay undefeated and in the top 25. But as has been the case pretty much this entire season, man, this has been a really slow start. We're down 3-0 with 2 minutes left. That's extremely rough, especially against a team like Utah State. But hopefully we can end up picking up a first down here with O'Neal, which we totally do, and we get out of bounds to be able to pick up the first down. That should be a flag. Come on. I know that wasn't that egregious. I'm just messing around. Either way, though, first and goal on the 7. Who is going to end up getting in for the score? Oh, we find him right there. Napier. No one decided to guard him. He's been great the last couple seasons. And the defense picks up another quick stop, and we get the ball back one more time to be able to extend our lead before half. Can we do it? Oh, O'Neal just broke off that sack, but could not get the ball out in time, unfortunately. But that's okay. You know what? At least he didn't get sacked like that. That just ended up being an incomplete pass. We can definitely deal with that. Oh, he got nudged. But on 3rd and 10 now, we just need to be able to find a first down. That's the only way we can actually pick this up. Napier ends up catching it. Let's go. What a terrible throw, but thankfully we get the first down and we call a timeout. That was such a garbage play by us, but it worked. So I'm not upset about it. Let's go, Canty. We need to hurry up because I totally forgot that we're pretty much at the end of the half. So let's take a chance down in the end zone. No, didn't think so. But hey, we got 10 seconds. We have 2 timeouts. It's 3rd and 4, so hell, we're going to be fine here, right? Look at this right here. That's perfect. That's a touchdown, baby. What an aggressive catch right there. And way to keep your feet in. Did not think he was going to catch that, but he did, and that's why Cianfrini is one of our top receivers. And man, what a blessing it is to be playing in the Mountain West Conference. Am I right? You're not going to get that in the SEC. But let's get them off the field. Let's go. What a pick by Ban. Is he going to be able to get a pick 6? I think he is. Yes, he is, baby. Arthur Ban for the pick 6, and we go up even more. Let's see if we can do that again as they're faced with another 4th down. They did end up getting in the end zone, unfortunately, and they pick up the first down there, which is even worse. And somehow they came away with points on that one. I don't know why. I'm going to have to look at the scoring recap after the game, but either way, we pick up 3, and now we just need to make sure that we just hold on to the ball. We just need to pick up a couple first downs. I think we can do it. We definitely have the offense and the offensive line to do so. The last play before the 2-minute warning, let's try to pick up a first down with our feet, as we do not. We only pick up 1. And that means on 3rd and 6, we really need to pick this one up. I don't know if we're going to do it. And we don't. We end up having to throw it away because he couldn't get the ball off. And now we have to punt and hope the defense can hold. And somehow they work it pretty much all the way down to the goal line. And now with an empty back set and on 2nd down, We just let him run right in. What are we doing, guys? I know, let's be honest. We did that on purpose just so we can, try to win on offense right here. As we end up hitting the Steve. Let's go. What a catch by Canty. And we end up hitting him downfield past midfield now. So let's go. We just need to keep that up. We need to find open receivers. And we need to get in the end zone because that's the only way we're going to be able to win this game. So let's see if we can get down to the end zone. Aggressive catch? No. So let's make sure we come away with the points that we need here. And we're able to win this. Let's go. Do we find him downfield? What a throw! And we do get in the end zone. We go up, but unfortunately we left them a little bit of time. But as long as we keep them on this side of the field, we are going to be fine. We just need to be smarter about things. I don't know if that's necessarily smarter because now they're on the other side of the field. This would just be an absolutely monumental collapse right here if we ended up losing this one. We can't even get any pressure, unfortunately. But come on, man. I talked up our defense so much in the beginning. And they're kind of letting me down this season so far, despite the fact that we are undefeated. But still, man, we need to keep them out of field goal range, and I don't think that we've done that now. But we've already gotten a turnover. Let's see if we can get another one here, as they end up just running it right up the middle, and unfortunately don't fumble. But thankfully, they had to waste their last time out, which means that we just need to get the ball back right here, and they're just going to run? Why are we running at this point in the game? And they plan on kicking it with just a couple seconds left. And yeah, unfortunately they're going to, but, oh, it sneaks in the upright. Are you kidding? Now this is strange. It says overtime, but we're starting on the 25. Make that make sense. It's all right. Maybe we can actually win on a Hail Mary. No way! Get there! Get there! Cianfrini gets free! And hold on, is that really going to be the game, or are they counted as the first part of overtime? So, are you kidding me? So you made me go 75 yards, and you're allowing them to start where you're normally supposed to start. But there we go, we swat that down. 4th and 9, and now we just need to get out of this one right here. Let's finish it. Let's stop them. Let's make sure they don't catch the ball, and we don't allow them to be able to respond here. Come on. Last play of the game. Nothing. Let's get through there. Come on. There it is. That's how we end the game. That was a really shitty game by us, but I don't give a damn. We win in overtime, especially since we had to go 75 yards on that one, and we pick up the win. Thank God. And you guys shouldn't be celebrating like that, man. You guys were supposed to win that game, and you threw it away. You threw it the away. And thank you, Cianfrini, for being the big difference maker here. 172 and 3 touchdowns. I know Neil, 333 with 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. But again, it's not like we got anything done on the ground. The only receiver who did extremely well was Cianfrini, which is great. And thankfully, the other touchdown came on defense. That was a great pick 6 by Ban, but unfortunately after that, things just kind of went downhill a little bit. We just need to be able to clean things up at the end. And honestly, after the way that that game ended up going, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get anyone to commit on this next screen. But thankfully, Coxie does. That's what I'm talking about. We didn't get the corner, but at least we got the free safety as we end up losing 2 receivers to other schools. And thankfully, Ban, because of that pick 6, ended up winning Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Week. And because of his performance, Cianfrini ends up getting the Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Great game, guys. But the good thing about losing those couple guys is that we do now have 200 hours again, and that means that we can bring other guys in on visits, and we can start recruiting some of these other guys because, man, we've really slacked on that this season. And that means that Week 10 visit against Boise State is going to be an extremely busy one, and a really important one too, because we got Babinow coming along with Mallory DeCastro and Boyette as well. So I think it's going to be a really great visit, and hopefully we can get at least 2 out of the 4 of them. But before we go forward, let's look at the stats so far, because we're halfway through the season. More than halfway through 3,000 yards right now for O'Neal. 13 touchdowns, but 6 interceptions. Kid has not been doing well, only averaging 3.1, only got 252 yards. He is not reaching 1,000. Cianfrini has a potential to if we can air it out a little bit more, but 416 with 3 touchdowns, Hennessy with 4 himself, Napier with 5, but a lot of that was just because of that big first game that he ended up having. And in terms of the defense, we're getting some pretty good pressure. Maragos ends up getting into the backfield a bit, especially on the runs. And thankfully, we do have a ton of sacks. Cook with 5.5, Vincent with 4, Cartwright with 3. And we do have multiple interceptions. Cartwright with 3 himself as well. He's been really great on defense, and we got 1 more year with him too. But now time to put our undefeated streak on the line right now. as we simulate against Air Force on the road. Can we be 7-0 at the other end of this? And not only do we win, but Cartwright ends up winning Defensive Player of the Week again. 6 total tackles and a forced fumble. The downside, though, is Babineau ended up committing to a different school. And unfortunately, that is Boise State, who he was actually supposed to come on a visit against. And since we did end up losing that quarterback, let's try to get PJ Cone here. We'll bring him in on the visit for Boise State instead. And let's go after that championship contender since that's an A right now. And with only 4 commits right now, we're really kind of struggling. We really got to hope that we can get a couple of these guys after the Boise State visit. That's going to be the most important one right now. And if we can get some of them commit before the game, that would be even better. But for now, we're going to have to sim through this game against Hawaii on the road before we get into the big matchup against Boise State. But let's not look too far ahead because we need to win this one. And thankfully, Boyette ends up committing anyways. I am never going to say no to that, but we do lose a ton of other guys, though. And since Tavion Beasley ended up getting 2 interceptions and 1 Player of the Week, I'm hoping that means that we won. And we did in pretty convincing fashion, too, 35-20. That had to have actually been a good game for O'Neal. 253, 2 touchdowns. Didn't really pick up much on the ground, but we did average a bit more than usual. And Cianfrini with 140, and then Hennessy and Canty with touchdowns apiece. Now, the defense actually played pretty well, too. A couple TFLs, only a couple sacks. But, again, those 2 interceptions by Beasley were huge. But losing all those guys does mean that we can actually put more hours on more guys, and because of how many guys ended up dropping off, that does mean that we actually could find a couple other guys to scout. So even though a couple of these guys aren't needs like Tinker, he's still a center, and if we could actually move him along the line, he could actually fill some of the other positions too. So over the next week or two, let's try to scout these guys. Let's see if they're going to be worth it. And again, even though we don't have a ton of hours right now, ooh, nice to be able to find a gem, especially at center. But since we don't have a ton of hours, we might actually be able to guess on some of these guys too. Just if we see pretty decent stats like that, 87 speed, 89 acceleration, only an 85 throw power, but still could be pretty decent. And I did not mean to actually fully scout him. That is totally on me. As we find a bust here on Artie Sr., so let's remove him from our list. We don't need him. But for now, we really need to focus on this next matchup because we have DeCastro and Cone that are going to be visiting. And not just that, but Boise State's undefeated too. They're 8-0, they're 6th in the nation. We're 19th. I think this is going to be a pretty tough matchup, so we need to go out there and definitely bring our A game. Now, if somehow we have the overall advantage over them, our defenses are equal, but it's not going to be great for our offense that struggles to get things going right off the bat. So let's make sure that we go out there and we try to handle business. And look, I know I've said that in pretty much every single game this season, but I really mean that this week against a top 25 team that is in conference too. So we need to have much better defense than that if we want to win this one. But thankfully on a 3rd and 16, we have a chance to be able to get them off the field. Hopefully we can push them out of field goal range too if we can get enough pressure. But unfortunately, there we go, Carrington. There we go. We get them out of field goal range, and to end the first quarter, they're going to be faced with a 4th and 29. And that's the type of defense that we need if we want to win this game. Because this is, again, a very tough matchup. As Hennessy just gets free, no one's near him, and we got a 2-score lead. Don't choke this one away. Thankfully, the defense is doing just that. I mean, hey, we got 2 minutes left in the half. We are up by 14. They have yet to score, and we're about to get our 3rd one of the game as he hits Cianfrini in stride. And he's got himself his, I think, 2nd touchdown of the day. And I don't know what happened out of half. Now it's a tie game, 21-21. Guys, we need to pick this up right here. Again, don't choke this one away. This is such a big game for us. But at least the good news is we do have it down in the red zone. And we have a chance to score here. Nice little hole to the outside, and Kidd pounds his way in. We got ourselves our possession lead again. And now our job is just hanging on to this lead. Halfway through the 4th quarter, we're still up by the 1 possession. Oh my gosh, did we just burn him right there? Yes, we did. Napier gets free down the middle, and we got another touchdown. Hopefully that means that we have this game in hand. And man, that was a quick score by them. Holy cow, 35-28 now. I think that was only 1 play. So let's go. 1st and 10. We just need to keep preserving this lead. But if you want something done and done right, you give it right to the fullback, right up the middle on this one. We're going to get a ton of yards. Valdez gets up to a 3rd and 1. They're kind of stacking the box a little bit, and I can't blame them. 3rd and 1, right up the middle. We got ourselves a 1st down and a bit more. Hang on to the ball, and let's hope that we can just take this victory now. Now, that will require 1 more 1st down, But the way we've been playing today, I think that is a very good possibility, despite the fact that we didn't get many on that one. But them burning their timeouts here is really great for us, and if we can get into field goal range, hopefully we can put the game out of reach. But it's going to require us to, again, potentially get a little bit closer, and we're not doing it on that one. So I think I'm going to regret throwing for this one on 3rd and 7, but we're going to do it anyways. Oh my gosh. No way. Did you leave him wide open again, Napier? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. And now we definitely got this game. And this really, realistically, is their last opportunity. I think this is where the game ends, even if they do score, because it's going to be really hard to be able to get another score on an onside kick after that. But obviously, that is a moot point, because we end up winning 42-28 against Boise State. We stay in control of the conference, stay undefeated this season, and we have a real shot of making the playoffs here. Shouldn't speak too soon, though. And O'Neal was a monster in this one. 374 with 5 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Insane. 39 on the ground for Kidd. 14 for Valdez. Thankfully, he picked up that 1 first down for us. Napier with 2, Cianfrini with 2, and Hennessy with 1 as well. And Napier with 144. And defensively, dude, we actually held one of the better teams in the nation to a pretty low score. We ended up getting 3 TFLs. We had 3 total sacks, but no interceptions. But again, it's a victory, and that's what really matters. So after a big game like that, I'm expecting to see a couple commits on this next screen, because that was too good to not have anyone commit. And there we go. We got a potential quarterback going forward in PJ Cone. We also have a corner in Burden, a corner in Gore. So we're going to have a couple guys that are really going to bolster our secondary next season, or at least going forward. So it's nice to see that we can actually put Cone down here at the bottom, along here with Burden and Gore. And that will allow us to have 280 hours to be able to put on some more guys and scout the rest of the guys that we're looking at. And that does mean that the only game that we have left to jump in this season during the regular season is going to be week 13. So we need to look forward to that. But that does mean that we need to get through this home matchup against Nevada. Let's just hope that this one isn't going to be a trap game for us. And whether it is or isn't, we did get DeCastro, the 4-star halfback, to commit. Same with DeLuca, the 4-star left guard. And that leads me to believe that maybe we did end up winning this one. And we sure did, and we're up to number 12 in the country. But since week 13 is going to be the next one that we have anyone visit, and since this one is an away game, that means that unfortunately we have to sim against number 24 San Jose State. How do we have so many ranked teams in our conference when we're usually not that strong? Either way, let's hope we come out with a win on this side. And unfortunately, we drop a really close one, 28-26 against San Jose State. O'Neal didn't play bad, 244, 2 touchdowns. Didn't do great on the ground, unfortunately, but we did have a pretty good average. And no one had over 100 yards. Let's hope that we can just do better in this last game and be able to pull out an 11-1 record. Plus, as we see right now, as long as we win this week, we're in the conference championship game, hopefully against Colorado State. And I'm just hoping that this many hours on all these guys is going to be able to land them before the end of the season. I do not want many of these to go into the offseason, even though I think a couple of them are. But if we do get a big game here against Fresno State and we end up ending 11-1, I think we actually have a good shot at landing them. Now, they are better overall than some of the other teams that we played, but it's not to say that we can't win. Let's go out there and let's clinch a spot in the conference championship. And I think clinching our spot in the conference championship game is going to be pretty difficult, unfortunately, now. But let's go with the little RPO. Let's just run right up the middle. We get a nice little lane, and we pick up 4 on the ground. Let's make sure that we get into the end zone here and are able... Thank you. Oh, that's going to be a hold, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to negate the touchdown. That's rough. Hennessy, that would have been great. I don't know why I'm playing Hennessy for that. That's not on him. That's on Galladay. And now that is going to make it a little more difficult to get some points here. But that's not to say that we can't do it. As we scramble out to the right, we got some speed. And we got a first down and more. Almost down to the goal line, but all the way down to the 2. Let's finish this one off by just pounding it in right up the middle, and let's take our lead. But this Fresno State team's been doing a good job against our defense. They're working the ball downfield, pardon me, but on this 3rd and 2, where is our team at? No one's there in that zone? That's a really tough way to end up giving up points here. And yeah, they're just going to pound it into the end zone, but thankfully we stopped them before they get in on first. Question is, can we do that on this down as well? As unfortunately, no, we do not. They end up getting in and they tie it up. Thankfully, we did respond with a touchdown, and now on 3rd and 1, we have a chance of making this drive just a little bit longer, as we thankfully hit him out in the flat, and Valdez ends up picking up the first down. And it'd be really nice to be able to get one score here before the end of the 3rd quarter, and we do. We end up pushing our lead to 2 possessions. So that leaves it up to our defense to be able to stop them on 4th and 10. They got to go for it now. Down by 2 scores in the fourth. Maragos gets through, but doesn't quite get it. But we pop that ball out, and that goes right back to us. But that's not to say that we're out of the woods yet. 3rd and 7. 5 minutes to go. Come on, we can be smart about this as we end up launching it up. And just out of reach of Canty. If only he was just a little more accurate on that one. Or set his feet. Either way, though, let's find a way to get in there. Come on. Get there for the pick. He does not, but he swats it away. And that's honestly all we needed. I'm glad that it wasn't going to allow me to go for the pick because I forgot it was 4th down. My bad. It's okay, though. 1st and 10 now. Let's pick up some good yards. Great yardage on that and a great block on the outside as well. Wish we would actually give him I wish I remembered who that was so we can give him a few more looks, but that one sails over that guy's head. So on 3rd and 4 now, we definitely need to pick this one up as we just almost hit the drag, but that hit off someone's hand. And now that means that we have to settle for the 3 to at least push it to a 3-possession game now. Well, that wasn't necessarily what we were looking for. It still makes this game much more winnable for us. As we end up getting there, thank you for tapping that one out, but don't tap it to the other guy. He almost tipped into a reception for the other guy. But instead now, it is our ball again, and honestly, with 1 safety deep and them pressing our guys, I'm going to hit Cianfrini for a touchdown right here, because why the hell not? Right? Thank you. We needed that. Well, maybe we didn't necessarily need it to win, but at least for my confidence factors, we end up picking this one up 38-14, despite the fact that it didn't necessarily look like it was going well for a bit, but still, we end up picking that one up, and we win the rivalry game too. 34 wins in this series, huh? And Danny, 273 with 3 touchdowns, not too bad. That stat line wouldn't have been as good without that last play, but 273, 3 touchdowns, and interception, not bad. Valdez, over 100 yards on the ground on only 13 carries with a touchdown, along with Gainwell with a touchdown too. We had Cianfrini, 54 and a touchdown. Hennessy over 100 yards and a touchdown. And then Beverly had one too. That's really good to see. And defensively, nothing extremely great. 3 TFLs, a sack, but 2 big interceptions by Beasley. So thankfully, we accomplished the task of winning double-digit games this year. That's really great to see. It's nice to see us improving every single week. And unfortunately, no commits on that one, but at least we're still first on a lot of boards. And holy cow, Colorado State, a team that I believe we beat earlier in the season, now ranked 23rd and in the Mountain West Conference Championship against us. If we win this one, I think we make the playoffs. If not, I think we're out. So that will give us a little bit of time to kind of look through our recruiting here, because it looks like we have a lot of guys that are actually pretty close to committing, especially Miles here. Nice to have another 4-star, but a lot of these guys are pretty close, and even on some of them, like you see here with Funk, no one else even has offered him a scholarship, so he's might actually be forced to sign with us. But honestly, with the extra hours, I think we're going to take a couple of the guys that are up here and maybe even just kind of offer them scholarships and just see if they want to sign right away. And realistically, right now, we actually have a pretty decent class, so if we can get a couple more guys, I think that might actually up it a little bit more too. But hopefully on the other side of this bye week, we will end up having a commit or two. That way we can actually look forward to the conference championship game and not have to think about this too much. As Kevin Miles does end up committing, I knew he was so close. And Fadafehi ends up committing as well. It's nice to get another 3-star, especially in a position that you really need. So let's end up throwing these guys down here on this list, and let's not think about them anymore. Or at least not until early National Signing Day. Then we can actually think about them again. So with 8 guys left on our board, pretty much all 3-stars, and I think 1 2-star, we need to look forward to this game against Colorado State. We need to end up winning this if we want to make it to the college football playoffs. If not, then we're just going to get some lousy-ass bowl game. Hopefully we'd still be ranked in the top 25, but might not be the case. But let's make sure we go out there, let's win this one, let's get the conference championship, and let's make it to the playoffs for the first time in this rebuild. And man, look at that sea of red out there. That is beautiful to see. Something that I didn't think we were going to see for at least maybe another season, but thankfully we see it here as we get them to a 3rd and 12, and we have a chance to get them off the field. But unfortunately, he picks up that read and they pick up a first. And unfortunately still gives them really good field position on this 3rd and 6. They are in field goal range, but there's a way that we can end up pushing them out. And unfortunately we don't right there. I was hoping he was going to step out of bounds, but he didn't. And again, with me playing the defense here, it's going to be a really rough game, especially against a ranked opponent like this again. But thankfully, we end up stopping them before the end zone. And I can't believe how many ranked teams that we played this season, especially in conference. It's actually kind of batty. In the Mountain West Conference? Are you kidding me? Either way, though, let's pick up this stop here. Oh, there we go. Get him right there. There we go. Nice stop. 3rd and 1. So I'm trusting the secondary on this one as we end up sending 5, and hopefully we can end up stopping something up the middle, or we can just rush a throw, and unfortunately he rushes it right into the end zone. And that wasn't how I wanted to see our first defensive possession go down. And now on 3rd and 11, before the end of the half, we need to pick up some points. Although, is that even going to be possible? Maybe on this route. What a catch by Gainwell! And he gets in the end zone and we end up tying the game up. It's about time we end up scoring in the first half, right? And it's just unfortunate that we couldn't kick the extra point. So now on 3rd down, we're actually going to run this right up the middle with Gainwell, and we'll pick up the 1st down and keep it going. Now, thankfully, we did score, but we did not get the 2-point. So 12-7 now. And we need to pick up this stop here on 3rd down. Why would you run on 3rd and 4? 4th and 3 now. And now all we have to do is hold them to a field goal. We'll make this a 2-point game, and hopefully we can get some points on offense again. As they do end up kicking in. That's right down the middle. Good shot. Sorry, always impressive to me when college kickers can make kicks like that, especially under that much pressure, as we just run up the middle on 3rd and inches, and thankfully we barely pick up the 1st. But unfortunately, it looks like our offense can't get anything going, and now with 3 minutes left in the game, they have the ball back. Oh, that was a really great read by him, and we're about to get through too. Just another second, and we would have been fine. But let's see if we can get more pressure again. Come on, you can't hear anything. You can't audible at the line. Not that they need to. Oh, come on. Wow, that was a really bad pursuit. And I can't believe we might ruin our chances at the playoffs here by struggling against Colorado State. And we give up the touchdown. Where were you, buddy? The only positive about that is the fact that we get the ball back now and we have a chance of being able to get a score. Unfortunately, we don't hang on to that, though. And now I kind of see why we're struggling in the backfield, too. Valdez went out with a dislocated ankle for 6 weeks, and Kid's out with a broken femur. I mean, thankfully, that doesn't affect our wide receiving crew, but god damn it anyway. Great catch, but unfortunately, that's probably going to be a hold. And unfortunately, what could have been a 1st down is now a 2nd and 20. Let's go, guys. Nope, that is a really bad read, and that is going to be a 3rd and long. So come on, we just need some kind of lapse in coverage here. We can see that. We've seen it before. And unfortunately, he's got the inside track, but he hangs on to it, baby. 33-yard line. That's the fucking shit I'm talking about right there. What a catch. And let's go. Let's keep this up now. We're doing pretty well so far. Let's go, and that's a great read. What a great route by Hennessy. And we go out at the 11. Now we're starting to play like an 11-1 team. I love it. Let's just go right up the middle with this one. We need to hold on to this and make sure we get closer to the end zone. So honestly, at this point, even though we need the score, I don't want to get in the end zone yet. So let's go for a run. Let's hope we run into a bunch of guys. And we got a 3rd and inches now. Now, just to pick up the 1st down, we're going with the QB sneak here. I want to try to run as much clock as possible, but let's get over there, and we get in the end zone. I know that's great and everything, but I wish we could have wasted a little more time. Now we need this 2-point conversion, just so we don't lose it on a field goal here. And thankfully, Hennessy gets it, and now they need to get in the end zone to be able to win. But that is going to require us to play some damn good defense, because they have all 3 timeouts. So let's make sure we negate that. Let's make sure that they get some really bad plays here. Maybe we can get into the backfield. And we get the pick. Let's go, Ban. What a beautiful pick. And just go down. Just go down. We don't need the score. Granted, I forgot that they had 3 timeouts. I just got way too excited about that interception. And let's just make sure we get the 1st down here and hold on to it. And let's run the clock out. Let's take the conference championship, thankfully, in just an absolute nail-biter, 20-17. Not necessarily the prettiest game, but just like every other win this season, we pull it out when we really need to. O'Neal, 13-27, 238, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Really bad game for him, but we still pulled out the victory. Gainwell, only 39, averaged 2.1. But in the air, no one over 100, but Hennessy was the big guy here. 81 and a touchdown. Gainwell at a touchdown as well. And then, of course, the defense. Maybe not a lot of TFLs, just the one, but we had 4 total sacks and that 1 interception at the end to clinch it. Ban has been great all season. And thanks to that, there we go. Mountain West Conference champions, our first one in this rebuild. And that means as we advance this week, that means we should see that we made it to hopefully the quarterfinals of the playoff. But first, we see that we did get that center to commit Kerry Tinker, as well as Gideon Funk, another quarterback. Isaac, I am not going to pronounce that, a halfback. And thankfully, everyone else is still available. And Mike Cook, right outside linebacker with the TFL and a sack, ended up getting Defensive Player of the Week in the conference. And Hennessy with the Offensive Player of the Week. And as I'm thinking about it now, it's because that's the conference championship. There are only 2 teams playing. So, of course, we're going to get that. And if you can believe it, our defensive coordinator won the Broyles Award? The coordinator of the year, are we sure? And Ryan Puglisi ended up getting the Heisman with 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and over 4,000 yards. Incredible. And it looks like we're playing in the New Mexico Bowl against UTEP. Somehow we didn't sneak into the 12 to be able to make it. Kansas State, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State ended up getting it, so I totally understand the automatic bids, but my goodness, man, you mean to tell me that we're not better than Middle Tennessee State? I can't believe we get absolutely shafted there. We're playing a 7-5 team in the New Mexico Bowl? At least we get to early national signing day. Part of me doesn't even want to play the bowl game because we got shafted there. But maybe some of these development traits are going to make me feel a little bit better, as Tinker is an impact at center. That's really great. Funk is normal. Same with this guy that I didn't want to butcher his name. Fadafehi ends up being an impact at wide receiver. Boyette is an impact. Boutte is an impact. Hearns is a star. That's great to see. Stockton is an impact player as well. Star at free safety with Kotze. Cone is a star at quarterback. He might actually be our quarterback going forward. Again, we need someone that is going to be better than an impact player who has those skill caps that aren't going to hold us back. Burton is an impact at corner. Same with Gore. DeCastro is normal. DeLuca is impact. And Miles is normal. No elites this season. Maybe not what we wanted to see, but again, at least we had a couple pretty decent development traits, and especially a star on the quarterback. That's going to be good. And again, part of me doesn't want to play this game because we got shafted, but why not? We need to win our first bowl game, so let's do it right here. You guys might not see a lot of this one, but hey, you know what? Hopefully we can come out with a win anyways. And if this just isn't like every other game that we've had this season, huh? Second quarter tie game, this time 7-7, so at least we had a score. But can we get the first down as we get it up to a 4th and 3? And I think we're going to have to settle for the 3. I know it's a 49-yarder and everything, but hey, we need the points, especially in a bowl game. So let's make sure that we kick it through the uprights. And it's just enough to be able to get the 3. Now, question is, can our defense make a very similar stop that theirs did? We'll find out in just a moment with an empty backfield here. Get through. Come on, Vincent. He ends up throwing it out. But he ends up catching it. That's crazy. But now it's going to be extremely important to be able to stop them here. Keep them out of the end zone because they were able to keep us out, and it is starting to look more and more like we're not going to do that. So let's force him to throw under pressure. Maybe he can make a mistake here or something like that. Let's get through. And thankfully, he ends up throwing out of the back of the end zone-ish. Might not have been incredible, but you know what? It got the job done. 2nd and goal, and they just go for the toss, and we're in the backfield to stop that. 3rd and goal on the 7. And this is where our defensive coordinator really needs to pick it up and show that he really is the coordinator of the year. And unfortunately, we don't. Although he did have that pretty well bottled up, it's just unfortunate that he caught it. My bad, I didn't realize that we're playing Dr. Disrespect's favorite team. Anyway, let's end up picking up the first down. Really great catch by Napier. We're getting closer. We just need points before half. I think we're going to get that here, especially since we're at 2nd and 3. They're going to rush everyone, and thankfully we at least get that one out. Now, we don't need a ton of yards. We just need a first down, and we're going to get that. Oh, let's just hit him. Why not? We have a chance of scoring, too. Hennessy gets in the end zone, though we did give them a little too much time before the end of half. Unfortunately, they would respond with a touchdown after half, and now we need to find a way to come back here. That's all right. We've done it before. We can do it again. Let's do it on our feet. And let's get out of bounds and not get hit this time. I can't believe I didn't notice this earlier, but O'Neill's actually out with a torn labrum, and that's how he ends his college career. And that means that Rambo is out here. And that's why things are a little bit different. That's why we got some speed. Let's just throw that one out, though. We had the speed, just not enough to be able to get around their defense. That's okay, though. Unfortunately, no, it's not, because we get bottled up on that run. But this is where we get in the end zone right here. Oh, there we go. He's got the speed. Hennessy again gets in the end zone. That is going to be a mismatch that we are going to have to exploit this second half. That is if we end up going down again. 4th and 1, though. We need to pick up a big stop right here. I bet you they pitch. Oh, they do pitch it to the outside. No, we don't end up stopping them, but that's okay. Not a big gain. And now 3rd and 4, we need to stop here. They're going to go for it on 4th down, I would imagine, potentially, but that's not going to matter because they end up picking up that one for a first. So 3rd time's a charm. Third down and pretty long, and they just go for the run and run right into Carrington. They would end up kicking the field goal, and apparently they got the ball pretty much right back too. And man, we are not in a good position as they end up going with the QB run. And hopefully we can get the ball out, but we don't. It's not the way that I wanted to see this bowl game going. I thought that we were going to have a big win against a 7-5 team, but thankfully we get to him, but he gets the ball out. The one positive about that is the fact that the clock does stop, and that I think potentially benefits us a little bit more. So let's get through. Can we get through? We can't. They got a big score almost. We should have just let them in, huh? Either way, 24-24. They really going to go for that? Nope, they're just going to run to the outside, and we stop them before the end zone. Now, I know it's a tall order, but if we can keep them from the end zone and hold them to a field goal, we're going to be in a really good spot. And there we go. Big sack right there. 3rd and goal. And this is where the defensive coordinator makes his money. His next contract is going to be fat if we end up stopping this one. Let's get through. They're going with the screen, and nope. That is how they get in the end zone. Now we need to tie it. And unfortunately, that's how this one's going to end. They end up winning 31-24. And Rambo's first start does not look good. So maybe we didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. We lost to a 7-5 team after going 11-1. Are you kidding me? Yeah, and unfortunately, O'Neal went down mid-game, 8 for 15, 2 touchdowns, 101 yards. I think if we would have had him that entire game, we probably would have won that one. I really, truly believe that. Because Rambo only 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Glad that he wasn't our starter this season and we stuck with O'Neal. He had 6 for 31 on the ground as well. Gainwell only 12 on 8 carries. That's rough, and no one over 100 yards but Hennessy with 3 touchdowns. And defensively, despite 6 TFLs and, 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, we still ended up losing with 31 points on the board for them. So despite that loss and some injuries, we unfortunately kind of limp into the offseason now. And unfortunately, we're not going to make it to the playoffs. I really thought that if we ended up winning the conference championship that we would have been able to get into the playoffs, but that obviously wasn't the case. But that doesn't matter for Riggs, who ended up committing. 3-star corner. And I also see part of the reason why we ended up losing too. Our defensive coordinator went for greener pastures, and we ended up having to get a new defensive coordinator. I didn't realize that, so they just kind of hired one on their own. And Darren Talbot's not even our defensive scheme. I don't know if that's going to bode well for us, going forward, but hopefully we can replicate a season like this, and hopefully this time we can actually make it into the playoffs. And thankfully we see here, no one's really at a risk for transferring, especially not after a season where we won 12 games and we're still ranked 18th. So that makes me happy to see no one transferring right now. But unfortunately, we are losing a lot of guys to graduation and a lot of really good guys too. Beasley had a really great season this season. Barron is one of our cornerstones at left guard. Our right tackle as well, O'Neal. So it's going to be a brand new team next season. And fortunately for us, we had 2 guys actually go in the draft. Barron and Beasley both went in the 6th round. But that does allow us to now look at the transfers, and there are actually a good amount from California and some pretty high caliber ones too. So let's get some of these guys on the board and let's see if we can convince them to come to our school, huh? And it's nice to see that we actually have 900 hours now. That might be good, and hopefully that's actually from our coordinator too. That might be a really big thing next season too. But that is going to allow us to send the house on a lot of these new guys, especially the 4-stars, because that would be really nice to actually bump up the prestige of this class as well. But that also does mean that some of these guys that we had from the actual season that we were recruiting them, we already know what they want, and we can start actually hard selling them and bring them in for visits as soon as possible. And even though we did have a lot of hours, we decided to put some extra on some of the guys, especially the ones that we're bringing in, mainly because with the players that we actually have left in the transfer portal from California, I don't think there are really any that we need. And even though they're only a 2-star, Keene ends up committing to our school, so at least we'll have another receiver. And actually a punter as well. Let's go, Kittner. So now with some of the freed up hours, we can actually schedule visits for some of these guys. And even though we don't necessarily know all of their motivations, we can keep some the house on, but we can still bring them in for a visit and really focus on the ones that we know they want that have really good grades. So with everyone coming in on a visit, with the exception of this one guy, because I want to see if there's any other motivation that might be a little bit better, feel like we're in a good spot with a lot of these guys. Plus, as it sits right now, our class is ranked 16th. If we can get a handful of these guys, we might be able to push it up to top 10. Now, will we potentially have to, encourage some transfers here in some of these off seasons? Yeah, maybe, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But Azar, a 2-star cornerback, ends up committing. Not going to be able to pronounce that either, but another QB, another receiver, Napolitano. And that's about it right now, as Schroller ends up committing to Oregon. And that honestly hurts to lose out on a left tackle, 4-star, to a team like Oregon. But thankfully, again, we did get Azar, so at least we got a couple other guys. But we now need to focus on these 5 guys, and since we do know exactly what this guy is going to want, for the most part, I think we can actually use process of elimination here in the hard sell to be able to figure out what that last one is. And it looks like it's going to be proximity to home, but hell, you know what? If we know that playing style is one of his main motivators, and that's an A+, let's really focus on that. And losing out on a 4-star like that is extremely tough, but we have 5 extra guys that we can go for right here, 3 of which being 4 stars. So let's hope that we can land at least 2 of them, and let's push this class up to a top 10. And hey, we get another receiver in Pelham. That's great. We have King Large, a 4-star left tackle. We got Muzan, the 4-star corner. That's going to be great. A 3-star D tackle in Whitten, and another receiver in Eric Coker. Let's go. I can't believe that we literally landed every single one of those guys. And unfortunately, we dropped down to 18, which means that I'm going to have to check the transfer portal. And since we have 900 hours and no one else to go after, maybe we can get a couple extra guys here. And again, these 2 guys might not be guys that we necessarily need, and they are only 2 stars, but if they push up our class ranking, I'll take it. So even though we might not get these guys, especially since we don't know necessarily what they want, and I'm taking a flyer on Eagles here, hoping it's proximity to home, it's still nice because we have a damn good class here, and I'm really excited to see what everyone's depth traits are. So last week here, maybe we can get lucky with one of these guys, but my guess is we do? Simonson ends up committing, and unfortunately he's the only one, but at least we got one of the 2. So now it is National Signing Day, and we can actually look at all the depth traits. And honestly, I'm blown away right now because 2-star Simonson is a star development trait. I have not seen star on a 2-star athlete before. Maybe you guys have. If you guys have, let me know down in the comments because I think that's kind of strange. But Pelham is a star, wide receiver, large as impact. Muzan, unfortunately, is normal, but still a 4-star. Impact D tackle, a star receiver. Azar is just normal cornerback. This guy is an impact athlete who is going to be a quarterback. Don't know if we're necessarily going to need him, but at least he's there. Napolitano is a normal. Keen is a normal as well. And our punter is an impact. Everyone else is someone that you guys saw earlier, though. So looking at position changes, King Large, which obviously is just an absolutely incredible name, is only an 84 left tackle where he's at right now, but even though we could move him to tight end where he goes 91, I think we're going to move him to right tackle because we need a better right tackle. Because let me show you in a second. As you see, he is an 87, and the next best one that we had was Ridley at a 72. We needed someone over there. And even though he would start over Armour as a left guard, I still want Armour to develop there. And other than that, I think we're going to keep everything the same. That's really the only change that we needed. We have a lot of guys here, so that means that we might actually have to ask them to transfer. But here comes the moment of truth, man. It is going to be training results. Let's see how everyone did. And look at that huge jump all the way up to an 89 overall. That is huge. Cartwright, our middle linebacker, goes up to a 91. Our left outside linebacker, Gentry, remember I talked about him 2 videos ago when we recruited him. Told you he was going to be good. 90 overall as a sophomore. Armour, the left guard, is up to an 89. Cheeseman is an 89 free safety now. These guys are going to be awesome. Now, unfortunately, we didn't necessarily see big upgrades at quarterback. Davis goes up to an 82, so he might be our starter depending on how the other freshmen end up coming in. Valdez ends up jumping kid, so that means we're going to be having a sophomore starting at halfback with 97 speed and 96 acceleration. We might become a run team. Cianfrini goes up to an 87 with 99 speed. Hennessy, our sophomore, is an 87 overall as well. And then look at this line, plus Canty and Pratt, both at an 85, but Vernon is an 87. Armour's an 89, like I said before. Abia Miri is an 86. Galladay an 88, and Chenault an 83. Plus, it actually looks like our defensive line is going to be really good too. Mid to high 80s on pretty much everyone. Gentry, again, is a 90 overall with Coates backing him up at an 86. Cartwright is up to a 91 with Bishop in the back at an 82. Cook is an 86, and Claybrook's an 84. Claybrooks is going to be with us for a little while, so we're going to have to maybe focus on him a little bit more. Ban and Buxton are up at an 84 with a couple other guys at 82, including Tritola, who is that freshman that we ended up recruiting, I think last season or 2 seasons ago. Cheeseman is an 89, Canty is a 75, Barry's an 84. So, you know, despite the fact that maybe 89 and 90 for those overalls for offense and defense are a little skewed, they aren't incredibly far off. So one last thing to do before we get into Season 5, which don't worry, will be in a completely different video. We got to encourage some transfers because we have 11 extra players that we need to get rid of, so we need to pick and choose. And unfortunately, I think it's going to have to be the guys who are just lowest here. Keegan Tobin, you're going down. Heim, unfortunately, you've been around for so long, but I'm sorry, buddy. Webb, you're going to go. You're probably not going to see the field, unfortunately. Polk, I know we spent so much time trying to get you, but sorry, buddy. And honestly, I think we need to look at some of these quarterbacks, too, because they're not going to see the field either. Like Redwine, you are gone. Crumpler, you are gone as well. We still have Cantrell. We have Acho as well. I don't know how well he's going to progress, but we do have these other guys who are juniors and a couple other freshmen that are coming in, so I think we're going to be good from that perspective. We're also going to get rid of Lolito because we have a couple other guys over him on the depth chart, and he's not going to see the field. Unfortunately, we have another middle linebacker in Berryhill who's going to have to go, and this is getting hard to find the final three. But even though he just came back from injury and he is number 3 on the depth chart, Rainey is going to be gone, and that leaves us with 2 more. And unfortunately, I think that means that Cortez East is going to be gone. He is a 77 overall, I know, but he is the 6th receiver on the depth chart, and he's the oldest one too, aside from Cianfrini and Pelham, so I think we're going to have to get him out of here. And lastly, I think we need to get rid of Carrington. He's been great, don't get me wrong, but again, too many other guys above him on the depth chart, and this would be his last season. So before we end the video here, I just want to take one more look as we see that we're 23rd entering this season, and in 90 overall now with that defense going up just a little bit. And we have a kicker who's at risk of leaving? Really? We're not going to think about that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the depth chart one more time as we see that Cone actually comes in at a 78 overall, and I'm honestly thinking about moving him up to be able to potentially get a little experience, maybe hop in the game. It's only a 5 overall difference, so Mama's going to be out. Cone is getting up there to be able to see a little bit of playing time potentially. And hopefully we can end up redshirting Cone to be able to get him an extra year and be able to get an extra year of development. But a 90 speed, 96 acceleration quarterback as a freshman, he should be seeing the field at some point. Valdez is going to be our lead halfback. We do have a good fullback as well. We have a great receiver room. Cianfrini is going to be great. Can't believe Pelham went up so high. And then, of course, Canty is going to be our starting tight end with Pratt right there in the back as well. 2 great receiving tight ends. We have a great line, a really great defense as well, and I feel like we're going to be set up for a really successful season next season again. We've gone up in overall. We are still preseason ranked, and as long as we can go in and hopefully get double-digit wins again, I think we have a really good shot of actually making the playoffs, despite the fact that we're in the Mountain West Conference. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to get on, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in Season 5.